Now, these are some of the examples of the scholarships that we have. Yes, some of them. Jack Kent Foundation, Stamp Scholar Program, Gates Foundation, specifically for you guys, who they call minorities. So Northeastern has that Torch scholarships, and there are so many other scholarships out there, guys. But you have to begin by educating yourself to find out how they can educate you for free. Yeah, that's it. That's all. Okay, go on, please. This is the University of Virginia. They have that scholarship, Jefferson Scholarship. If you are from Virginia, of course, in-state tuition is cheaper. If you are outside of the state, non-resident, they will give you almost more than $250,000 to go there for free. So we are busy here making money to pay for college. Guys, just find out how you can get it for free. It's possible. And people are enjoying it. People are enjoying it. I know some of you can't wait to go back to work to make money to pay for your kids. No. Just stay here. You won't need to make that money. You won't need because you won't need it. You won't need it. So okay, go on, please. Yeah, this is the AAUW. Is the American Association of University Women. This is for women. Yeah, they can educate you for free. They are begging us to apply for these things. And we are busy making money to pay for the fees. They are waiting for our applications. We are making money to pay for the school. So all these, I'm just showing you examples of opportunities we can apply to. It's real. It's not a gimmick. The problem is that whoever knows is the one who applies, and they get in. If you don't know, you won't apply. So find out that information. Go on, please. Okay, now we come to Massachusetts. I told you right now as we speak, all community colleges are free. If all you have to do is don't have a bachelor's degree, have a high school diploma, already graduate high school, enroll in at least 6 credits, just about 2 classes only, 3 each. Maintain a reasonable academic record, which is about 2.5 GPA. GPA of 2.5 will keep you in. And be a mass resident for at least 1 year. And don't default. This one, don't worry about the bottom one. I'll explain. I'll explain. So okay. Second one, please. Next one. Now, go on. After 2 years in a community college for free, continue on, please. You can now transfer. The state has made a commitment that as long as you do 2 years in any of our community colleges and you have reasonable grades, you can transfer to any 4-year college. And as long as you meet their conditions, they have a lot of goodies for you. So all you have to do is, of course, begin in a community college, and then from there, complete your associate degree. You can transfer to any state university. And from there, if you complete your bachelor's degree in 2 years and maintain a GPA of around 3.0, then the state, this is the commitment. Give me the commitment. This is the commitment from your state. Yeah, please. Okay. Now, this is their commitment. If you are transferring, there will be no application fees. There will be no application essay. There will be guaranteed admission. This thing that is a thinking yeah, guaranteed admission as long as they have space in your program. So, and then if you are to pay tuition, they freeze it. They free, tuition goes up every year. They freeze the tuition and all the other fees. And every year, if you perform well, every year they give you some of the money back. Yeah. But, if you hear such a good news, you can't even grow old. Because this is so much. Yeah. So the state has promised. It has a promise. Okay, go ahead, please. Go ahead. Please. Make it quick. Okay. Now, even better, Boston, which is the biggest, Boston, right now has a promise. If you show significant financial need, they will educate you for free. That's all, for free. Even when you go there direct, they will educate you for free. And now, if you live in the city of Boston, even if you don't have the other stuff I talked about, even if you are missing the other stuff, they can educate you for free. Doesn't matter who you are and what you are and what you have. Even if they haven't welcomed you yet. Yeah. They will educate you for free. As long as you live in the city for about a year. Okay, go ahead. We are almost done. Okay, now, just to show you some of the programs going on around there. Guys, look for information. If you live in Michigan, in that town guarantees you 100% tuition as long as you live in the town. That's all. All you have to do, live in that town. In San Francisco, all you have to do, live in that town. They educate you for free. And then we have all these other programs in Vermont. You can get free education as long as you live in that town in Vermont. And by working for all these other companies, they have different benefits, including Walmart. I love the one for Walmart. Yeah. And Sam's Club. As long as you work over there, I can educate you for free. Yeah. Papa Gino. It will educate, yes. It will educate you for free. Yeah. Papa Johnny's, whatever. Papa Johnny's. Raytheon, all these guys we despise. All these companies we despise guys. So what am I saying? You can even try to be intentional in where you get your job. Do you know why? Because some universities have tuition benefits for their employees. So if you're a nurse, other than dying in a nursing home, you can choose to go and work for Harvard as their nurse. When your kids get to college, chances are Harvard will give you a free pass for your kids. So, Banagi, let us look for information. So, some of the people were saying, no, there is no such a thing as a free education in the US. It is there. Even our main speaker, she has a program she's running. She can educate you for free. Yeah. As long as you commit to work for her. So, I don't want to. Yeah, she will educate you for free. So, anyway, I think we are done. Can you, one more? This is it? Okay. That's my part. Now I'm going to invite our main speaker. She has taken off her busy schedule to come and want to help us. So I'm going to introduce her in a minute, and then we'll move on. So guys, it is possible. Just look for information. Spend more time finding out how you can be educated for free than looking for money to get an education. You will never have enough money to get an education. Yeah, it's very expensive to go to college in this country. So, anyway, I'm going to introduce... Yeah, so our main speaker today, her name is Dr. Yasmin Babio. She's an educator. She's a parent. She has pushed her own kids from kindergarten all the way through college. She's a mother. She's a parent. So whatever you are experiencing, she has experienced. And the beauty is that she's also a classroom. She has also been a classroom teacher. Now she's in administration. So she has been everywhere that you think you're going to need help. she's a dedicated woman. That's why she was able to accept to come and speak to us. Can you imagine? Yeah, she has a lot of experience in developing programs that support diverse learning needs. You know, some of our kids are not the same. So she's into that. She is committed to fostering culturally responsive educational environments that celebrate diversity and promote holistic student development. She is skilled in designing both recreational and educational programs. She engages learners while encouraging social and emotional growth. Yeah, she is driven by mission to provide equitable and inclusive education. She is a mother. I told you she's a mother. She is a parent. And she is an educator. If you think kids are giving you a headache, she has gone through whatever we are going through here. So with those few words, I'm going to invite Dr. Babio. Please come and speak to us.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's such a privilege to be here, honestly. I prepared a slideshow, so hopefully they will have that up. Can everybody hear me? Now you can hear me. All right, I got to get used to this thing. It's really nice to be here. This is my passion. This is what I do. I've worked at many districts across Massachusetts, and one thing for sure, from the suburbs to the inner city, my passion has been working in the inner city with people that look like me, that sound like me, and have a similar background to me. And it's always wonderful seeing the students look at me, and I speak their language, and I mirror their parents, and I can tell them from experience, and they know they can trust me and that I'm not lying. That if I can do it, they can do it. So I prepared the slideshow, and I titled it Brighter Future, The Power of Higher Education. And I'm going to talk about, I'm going to start with my story. Next slide, please. Give you guys a minute to read that. You know this part already. It was part of my wonderful, humble introduction. Next slide, please. So I started with my story. It's not just my story. It's my family's story. It's my parents' story. That's me there. This is my beautiful mother. She grew up in Haiti. Our family's from Haiti. And my dad's from Haiti. My mother's a widow now. My dad passed away in '94. But our story are their stories. My mother's mother died when she was, I believe, 5 years old, and she didn't get an education. She didn't have someone paying for school for her. And so this is why our degrees are her degrees. So I thought, what better than to start with my siblings, nieces and nephews, and all the diplomas that we've been able to bring to her, and the joy that their sacrifice have made. So this is my older brother, the firstborn, James Babio. He is a psychiatric nurse practitioner in the state of Maryland. This is my wonderful son, Cameron. He is in the audience supporting me, and he graduated from Milton Academy. I think it's one of the top 50 private schools in the country or Massachusetts. This is my daughter. She graduated from private school from Brooks Academy. My son attended Drexel. My one and only son, Cameron. Drexel. My daughter graduated from Chicago, from DePaul, Chicago. This is my nephew. He's up and coming. Actually, I like to call him my nephew. He is my godson nephew, so that's my special nickname for him. This is my sister. This is Dr. Faninka Babio James. She is a principal at a school in Cambridge. And as you can see, as many pictures of my mother celebrating with us as possible. Next slide, please. So just taking you through the journey. My beautiful big sister, I'm one of 5. I'm the middle child. So I come, you saw my brother James. This is Dr. Faninka, myself. This is my firstborn daughter. She graduated from DePaul. She is now in South Korea teaching at a private academy there. So I'm a proud mother. Next slide, please. This is my youngest and my son. This is her 5th grade graduation a few months ago. She is now in middle school, 6th grade. So my baby is my last born. She's growing up. This is my niece. We had about, I think, 4 or 5 graduations this summer. My brother graduated. This is his firstborn daughter. She just graduated. She's in college now. And this is my other niece, who also graduated within weeks of each other. She's also at college. They're both in college in Maryland. It's brand new. I'm sorry, I don't know the name of their schools. I'm still a proud auntie. Next slide, please. My nephew. This is his 5th grade graduation. He's now in 7th grade, so this was 2 years ago. And this is my sister, the baby of the family, his mother, and my parents. This is our story. This is their story. My dad passed away, but his work, his commitment and dedication has brought us here. Next slide, please. This is the signature that I have underneath all of my emails, because God is in control. I'm a product of God's promise to my parents, God's promise to me, and I'm really honored to be here. Many are the plans in a person's mind, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails. One of my favorite scriptures, because God is indeed in control. Next slide, please. So, I want to talk to you guys. You know, I showed you the picture of my story. My mom, there's a story that I wrote in my personal statements to get into my doctorate program. And my mom was in housekeeping at St. Elizabeth's Hospital, where she retired. And she worked in labor and delivery, where she was the person that cleaned the units after the women gave birth. That was her job. She worked at some point about 3 jobs to send for her 4 children that were born in Haiti and then came here to the States. The only one of us born here in the States was my younger sister, Stephanie. And my mom told this story. I think for whatever reason, you know, you have different relationships with each of your children. I talk a lot. I do, I talk a lot. So in one of the many conversations with my mom, she shared an experience where a nurse yelled at her, humiliated her, and she had to go into one of the closets, where the storage closets where the toilet paper and cleaning supplies are stored, and she cried, and she thought to herself, if she had an education, she wouldn't be in that position. And that story always stuck with me. It always stuck with me. I don't think I ever shared it with my son, but you know, it's a humbling story, and I always felt her pain. So when she told us we need to go to school, we need to value education, I took it seriously, and I'm very happy that my siblings also took it seriously, because I don't have a picture of my younger brother there, but he does have a bachelor's degree from Boston College, so he did pretty well. So we are first-generation immigrants, my siblings and I. Our parents worked very hard. My father had diabetes. In fact, he died from diabetes. So being healthy and taking care of ourselves, it's something that my siblings and I really value, because I believe in breaking generational curses so that we're not inheriting the sins and paying for the sins of our forefathers. And the way to do that is through persistence and determination, because the devil's not going to just give it to you. It's something that we all have to fight for. So we're first-generation immigrants. It's challenging. It wasn't easy. We went to school in Boston, and that's why it was such an honor to go back to work in the district where I got an education. Give you guys a minute to read that. That's where my passion comes from. Right here. I'm passionate about supporting students and families through each step of their journey. And that journey does start at kindergarten. I mentioned to you that my daughter is in South Korea, and she had graduated from Brooks Academy in Andover. One thing she said to me was, during her experience, I realized that even though my children went to private school, that's by God's grace, and that I personally didn't do enough to get them ready for it because I had limited resources myself. She shared with me that some of her friends, that her classmates, one Korean classmate in particular she was always interested in Korea, so she had several Korean friends, and one of her friends shared with her that he had been taking I believe, SAT prep classes, and that is something that they do there in the Asian countries. So when we look at the colleges and the college acceptance rates, and there are a lot of Asian students in those schools, like Harvard and Yale and so many of these schools, that's because their parents understand the value of education. They start their students preparing for higher ed in America since grade school. They take their classes, in addition to taking classes, they have them taking SAT prep classes. And this is why they're scoring 1,800, 2,000. I believe the highest score is 2,400. So that's why they're there. Their parents value education. It's not something that happens like they just go take a test and they do well and they get into these Ivy League schools. It's because their parents have been preparing them for that. And that's something that I realized that I hadn't done. I hadn't given my children at home prep classes and all these tutorings and things that these families are doing. And so when I say it's God's plan, it's really by God's grace that my family and I and my children have been able to accomplish what we've been accomplishing. But by sharing this information with you, I'm passing it forward. Next slide, please. So working in the inner city, one thing for sure, education really is the gateway. That's how we get social and economic mobility. If we want to climb up that social ladder and not be socially, economically deprived, that is how to do it. It's I don't remember who said it, but someone's quoted as saying that education is the great equalizer. Because it does. Many times, I'm one of the only black person in the spaces that I'm in. And I have higher degrees than they do. And I'm able to, even then, I'm able to get into those spaces because of education. But we know that there is a resource gap in the inner city where I work. There's limited funding. Many of the students that I work with, they're immigrants. They live in the inner city. They receive free or reduced lunch. So they have a lot of disparities that they face. Many of them during the pandemic, they didn't have technology. They weren't going to school. Even with the Wi-Fi that we provided and the Chromebooks we provided, they still didn't have a safe place or quiet place to join classes and to be part of the classroom environment. So they've fallen even further behind. The classroom sizes, they're overcrowding. They have closed many of the school models. I believe, actually, this is the first year. In the inner city in Boston, where I do work, they have gone to a model where they've changed the schools. I believe it's K through 2 or K through 1, and then they have first grade through 6th grade than they have 7th grade through high school. And that might sound like it's a great thing, because for people that have children in 2 different schools at different age levels, having them attend the same school might sound like it's better for the families. However, personally, I don't think a 1st grader should be on a bus with a 6th grader. I don't think that a 7th grader should be socializing with a 12th grader. So all of these things that they're doing because to save money, actually. They're doing it to save money. They're selling it to the families like it's something that's benefiting them, but at the end of the day, all of it is about money. It's about the bottom line for them. So the classroom sizes are huge. The teachers are not supported. The student-to-teacher ratio is, and there's not, despite the fact that there's a union, there's not too much that folks can do about it. They're requiring teachers to get multiple degrees, even though teachers are not legally can only work under 1 license. All of that is so the districts can save money. But we are here for our children, and our children deserve a voice. We are the ones that represent our children. We are the ones that need to fight for our children. So it's something that we need to be aware of. Next slide, please. So, early support in education. There's a resource gap. We just talked about the resource gap in the inner cities. And many of the homes don't have technology, and this is the age of technology. So this is something that is very, very important. The students, children need an outlet. As much as I'm an educator and I know the importance of education, I also believe in balance. And children should be able to have extracurricular activities that they do in and out of school. They need to have a passion in addition to schools. So that is something that I also advocate for. Many of these communities are violent. There are violence in the communities. It's the reality that our children face when they're walking to the school buses. That's just the reality of what the children are going through. When they walk into the classrooms, they're coming in with all of their experiences and all the things that they're dealing with. So that is something that educators have to be aware of. And as you're living in your homes and you're working and you're going through your challenges, it's easy to think that they're children, they don't have any responsibilities, they just need to go to school and get a good grade. But that's not the reality. The children do see us, they feel the energy of what's going on inside the home, they have all kinds of stressors that they're dealing with at school. So it's important that we know that the children, they do need support. They need support, and that's why being able to play basketball or some type of sports outside of school is very important for their balance. Educational inequity. The system is not equitable. Like I said, I worked in many different districts in the suburbs, and the resources that they have in the suburbs are very different from what they have in the inner cities. The classrooms are not overcrowded, and it is what it is. So that is something that we should definitely be aware of. Next slide, please. So why higher education? It's for all the reasons that we've been talking about. It's the great equalizer. It opens up opportunities for our students, and these opportunities extend to our families. I showed you my own family. My mom has all this support because of her hard work, and now we're able to be there for her and to support her. So college opens doors. It provides better jobs, higher earnings, and of course, better career satisfaction. And when someone's satisfied in their careers and they love what they do, they're happier overall. And that really helps with mental health. It provides personal growth that builds independence so that our daughters are not relying on husbands. And husbands don't have to have the stress of having to be the sole provider. So education really helps with personal growth for everyone. It helps with problem solving, and it does help with lifelong friendships and relationships. Because one thing colleges in the States are very good at is networking. So you build friendships that way. So investing in a degree, it's a stepping stone to a life with more choices and stability. Next slide, please. So like I said, I'm a first-generation college student along with my siblings. So I like to focus on immigrants as first-generation students because our experiences are very different from Black American who are also first-generation students. I don't like to create division between Black Americans, and I do like to keep together the unity of African descendants. However, there is a difference between the immigrant experience as first-generation students in college. There are unique challenges that we face. For example, even the financial aspect where we need financial assistance and we need, of course, legal immigrant status just to be able to get that. And there are other personal challenges. There are language barriers that can happen. Those can actually hinder comprehension and being able to relate to everyone. There's cultural adjustments that need to happen where things are somewhat different. And there's high expectations. I know for my mom, there are things we couldn't go out and do. We couldn't go out with friends. We couldn't have sleepovers. We couldn't go and play with our friends. We actually had to, my parents had high expectations for us. And so that was something that was part of the experience. Next slide, please. So for our families, there's generational impact. Higher education, it can build a legacy. It lifts families. It's not just for the person who is in school. It's not just for the student. The entire family benefits because I was able to go to school and get a higher education. That helped to put my children in a better position so that my children are directly benefiting. And it was able to put all of our educations combined, put my mom in a better position. So all of us, we're all uplifting through each other, and we uplift our communities. So education, it actually strengthens the communities, and it allows the students to give back. After getting my education, I made sure I could have worked in the suburbs where there we don't have overcrowded classrooms. There are a lot of resources, but I wanted to go back and work for the inner city. That's what was tugging at my heart. And I was inspired to go back and work in the community that raised me. Next slide, please. But there are challenges. There are family responsibilities. I know that many students have to help out. They don't have the advantage of being able to just go to school, hang out with their friends, that there are bills to pay and that their parents need help with the bills because working minimum wage is not enough to help pay the bills. So those are hard. They have to prioritize. The bills still need to be paid. So they have to prioritize between making money and helping to support their families. So, these are actual pressures, but there are financial aids, there are scholarships, and lots of different ways to offset that. It can also be very lonely on a college campus, especially here in Massachusetts, where the colleges are predominantly white institutions. So being from a different culture, speaking a different language, you're not always able to connect with everyone there. So that is another challenge that our students face, our first-generation immigrant students face. Next slide, please. So college assimilation is very important. Having that family support really helps students to get there. There are different levels of preparation that can go into it. there's fewer resources. All of that can add to a huge gap between the students that have already been established and our students trying to assimilate. Next slide, please. So, being thrown in there, sometimes there's a lack of sense of belonging and feeling like you're the only person there from that culture, from that background. So you can feel left out, and it's a real feeling, and all of that impacts mental health. Next slide, please. Feeling out of place. I know that for me, myself, there can be a real sense of imposter syndrome. When you're in a space and you're one of the only ones there, you feel like you don't belong there. You feel like, what am I doing here? It's a real feeling, and it can make someone feel really withdrawn and really impact self-confidence. Next slide, please. Academic burnout. Imagine having to still work and function and be yourself and help out with your families, yet you have to deal with all that work that's waiting for you. College is not for the weak. There's a lot of work involved. There's social isolation. You can feel fatigue and headaches. All of that is part of the adjustment. Emotional support is very, very important. Next slide, please. Anxiety and depression is prevalent for our first-gen students. So it's important to know that there's a pressure to succeed. I know for us, we had a pressure to succeed. We know the sacrifice that our parents made to be here and all the work that went into it. So we did. We had a pressure to succeed, and that's why family support is so important. And there is a real stigma with getting help. Oftentimes, people feel like reaching out for help means that they're not good enough or that they're not smart enough or that it's going to be discovered that they don't belong there. So I always say, these people on these college campuses, they're there, they're getting paid, they're not doing it for free, it's not a favor that they're doing our students. So I always encourage students, that is what they're paid to do. They're paid to be there to support you, and it's very, very important to get that help. Next slide, please. So, it's so important that families work together to support their students. In the short run, your students, your scholars going out to work and to help provide for the family, that might seem like that's the priority. But in the long run, being able to go to school and finish school, there's so many more advantages to that. They're able to, once they finish school, they're able to help even more and elevate the family. So giving them that emotional support, calling, checking in on them, making sure that they're okay. Something that I discovered while my children were away in high school was that a lot of the students, because again, I was raised here, but by Haitian parents who didn't know the culture. And so the things that I learned from them. So my daughter her friends were getting care packages. And I didn't know what that was. And my child felt unloved because things were coming in the mail for the friends. Packages of socks and candy and different things like that, and gift cards and little I love you cards. And she didn't get one, and thank God for me, she finally said something. And it really broke my heart, but that is something that is important to the students, to get those care packages, to let them know that you're thinking about them, that you support them. Next slide, please. It does take self-efficacy to succeed in college. It really does. Our students need our support, but we can't do the work for them. So they have to also be motivated. They have to also be willing. They have to also see the big picture. because from late August through December, it's a lot of reading, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of things all at once. But once they see the light at the end of the tunnel, our job is to motivate them, to make those phone calls, check in on them, make sure that they're okay, and encouraging them to get whatever support that they need on campus to help them get there. But they have to believe in themselves, and they have to believe that they're there because God put them there and that they're able to do it. So the hard work and the persistence and the perseverance will get them there. Next slide, please. Finding support. Support can come from their classmates. Support can come from mentors, from the professors. Like I said, these folks are there for that purpose. They're there to support and to be a resource to our students. So it's our job to help them when they're feeling isolated, when they're feeling stressed out, overworked, their classworks are piling up. Please encourage them to get help. Don't just tell them, oh, you're good, you've got this, work harder. It's not always about working harder. Like I said, many of the students have an advantage. They've been prepping for this since they were very little. Our kids are already coming into this behind. So encourage them to use their resources on campus. Encourage them to participate in affinity groups. Those are groups that'll really help them get through it, because these groups are groups with people that have the same interests as you. So if you like acting, you can join an affinity group with other people who like acting. If you like sports, anything that you like, they have affinity groups in college to give you that support. And of course, use those mentors, use those professors, do what you have to do so that you can build your self-confidence and get through that school year. Next slide, please. All of that is part of overcoming the obstacles, because like I said, college is challenging, but definitely worth it. It doesn't just start at high school, it starts at elementary schools, getting them those supports that they need. They have guidance counselors in high school. They have college counselors to actually help them to ease that transition. Assimilation is important, but I always encourage our students to be proud of who they are instead of trying to blend into somebody else's culture, because you're unique. You are your own person, and there's no need to try and be like anybody else. God made you who you are for a reason. That family support, peer support, all of that, it really does build the self-esteem and helps them believe in themselves. Next slide, please. Families are so important, that family support, that parental support. Talk to your students, talk to your children, help them, celebrate their progresses. So one thing that I did was, with my 3 children, I don't think my son knows that, but when they took their different tests that they had them take, whether it's the MCAS or whatever other tests that they took, that their schools had them take, I never told them their scores. Till this day, they have no idea what their scores are. So I didn't want them to be in competition with each other. I hated my mom comparing us to each other. So that was something that I knew I was not going to do with my children. So till this day, I would get their scores, I would get their test, and I would look at it and I would store it away. Till this day, they never knew what their scores were. And I just told my own children at home, you're brilliant, you're smart, God made you special, I'm so proud of you. So my son's thinking his older sister's smarter, and the older sister's thinking he's smarter. And you know what? They're all brilliant. And it's important for our children to know that. Having them compete against each other, and it hasn't worked in the Bible since Cain and Abel, and it's not going to work with us. So let's learn from that example. We celebrate all of our children every step of the way, and they have different strengths, they have different weaknesses, so our job is to elevate them and get them all there and teach them to elevate each other instead of competing with each other. Next slide, please. So The planning, there are lots of things that we can do now. Like I said, I see lots of little ones, different age groups in this wonderful congregation. So we start now. It's not too late. Set those academic goals. Talk to your children. Plant that seed in their heads that they're going to school, so that it's not when they're in high school that they are looking at the process. This is something you plant that seed and you nurture it and you let it grow and you talk about it, not with pressure, but with expectation and with love. But explore their interests. They have different interests. A lot of times we put our own wants and our own goals and we try and live through our children. That's not always the best strategy. Know that God made them unique and God put different skills in them for God's glory and for God's purpose. So find out what their interests are. If God put it in their hearts, we should definitely try and support that and try and nurture that. Oh, I was going to say, you can visit those colleges, you can visit those campuses, you can set time. They have tours to talk to the parents and the families so that you know exactly what you're getting into. Next slide, please. So building that path to success, it has to be intentional. It can't be something that happens by accident. We have to partner with our children. From the time that they're little, we partner with their teachers, we partner with their schools, we make sure that we represent them at different functions that's happening. Whether it's a basketball game, we go there to support them. Whether it's open house at their schools, we go there and make sure that we are partnering with their schools. There are workshops, and there's lots of different things that we can do to support our children. So I have here ELL, that's English language learners, and different minority groups, because as first generation families, we all have the advantage of speaking multiple languages. So that's an asset. It's not a deficit. It's something that's absolutely wonderful, and it's something that we should foster and continue to encourage. So it starts as early in their foundation. It plays such an important role in making sure that we're setting them for success. Next slide, please. Lots of resources. I know that many of them were shared even before I came up here. So that we should definitely always, if we don't know about them, we're not taking advantage of them, and they're there. So please make sure you are reaching out and seeking those resources. And deadlines are very important. If you miss a deadline, that's something that we can't get back. So that is something to pay attention to. There are also work-study programs where you can work at the library, you can work in the cafeteria, and different places on campus to reduce the tuition for schools. That's for the students. And the families, I want to continue to encourage you to get involved in your children's schools. As little as kindergarten, get involved. When our children get older, middle school, high school, they tend to want to push us away, because I believe from 0 to I think like toddler years, the mom's role is so important to nurture that child, of course, with the father's support. From the toddler years to, we'll say about middle school, the father's role is kind of shifts where the mom is supporting and the dad is like taking an active role in building that character. But from high school on, it's the friends that have a really big influence. And that's why they're gonna try and push you away, but don't let them. Don't let them. Show up for your children, show up to their schools, represent them. When they look back on it, they'll be grateful. So encourage them to get involved in activities. Sports are important, arts are important, whether it's gymnastics, singing, they need that balance. It can't just be one-sided where it's all about school, school, school. Our children need that balance. Next slide, please. Education, it's a pathway to success. When you succeed and you feel that fulfillment, and it does brighten your future, not just for the students, but also for their families and the community, because they take all those resources and all the education that they learn, and they bring it back to the community. It's a journey, so we should embrace that journey. Seek support and believe in your potential to success. It's not easy, but it starts with that self-esteem and that self-efficacy and believing in yourself. But together, let's build a future filled with opportunities, pride, and success. Remember, education is more than just a degree. It's a path to realizing dreams and making a lasting impact on your lives and the lives of those you love. Next slide, please. I don't know if you guys have any questions, comments.
Thank you so much. Okay, but another hand clap for Dr. Bajibio. She had so much to share, but she didn't have enough time. But of course, she's available. She can always come back and help us. And also, she will be available if you need her to talk to you. Please go ahead. We are going to invite the pastor to give us the closing remarks. May God bless you.
We want to thank Dr. Lugorobi, who organized this gathering, and the team you work with. And indeed, I'm not good at names, but I want to thank the doctor who took off her busy schedule to come and share with us, and indeed with your son. It's good to see you, sir. And beloved, as you were told, we can always seek information. We can always find out more information if we need to. We have a good resource here. Dr. Lugorobi will be voicing our questions and queries and needs and desires to these beloved friends. We can make it, beloved. Amen. So, Father, we thank you for this wonderful time. Even as we go to the fellowship hall, we pray that glory and honor be bestowed unto you. We thank you for the information that we have got. We pray that we will not be hearers of this information, but we will seek and find out so that we may get from the level we are on to a next level. We thank you for the children that you have given to us. We pray that we'll be very involved in their lives and their success. We thank you and we bless you in Jesus' name. Amen and amen. Thank you for your patience. And I think it was for your own good that you stayed. Amen. Let's go to the fellowship hall for swallowship and the meeting.